Erling's consciousness flickered like a candle fighting against the wind. His eyelids felt heavy, weighted down by exhaustion that seemed to seep into his very bones. As awareness slowly crept back into his mind, he became aware of something unusual warmth. Not the harsh, biting cold of the mountain pass where he'd collapsed, but a gentle, enveloping warmth that pulsed with life. His eyes fluttered open, and instead of the gray sky he expected, he found himself staring into a pair of luminescent amber eyes. They were massive, slitted like a cat's, and filled with an intelligence that seemed ancient beyond measure. Warm breath, carrying the scent of sulfur and wildflowers, washed over his face in rhythmic waves. Scales, everywhere he looked. There were scales iridescent and shimmering in shades of emerald green and sapphire blue. They caught the morning light filtering through the cave entrance, creating dancing patterns of color across the stone walls. Erling's breath caught in his throat. Dragons. He was surrounded by dragons, but these weren't the massive, terrifying beasts from the stories told in village taverns. These were small, perhaps the size of large dogs, and there were 3 of them curled around his body like protective sentinels. Their wings, translucent and delicate as stained glass, were tucked against their serpentine bodies. They had been keeping him warm through the night. Easy now, human. A melodious voice echoed in his mind, though none of the creatures had opened their mouths. You've been unconscious for 2 days. Erling tried to sit up, but his body protested with a symphony of aches and pains. His last memory came rushing back: the avalanche on the mountain pass, the desperate scramble for safety, and then nothing but white and cold. How? He croaked, his voice raw and unused. How am I alive? The largest of the 3 dragons, the one with emerald scales, shifted its position. We waited. We've been waiting for someone like you for a very long time. Before Erling could ask what that meant, a sound echoed from deeper within the cave footsteps. Light and quick, a young woman emerged from the shadows, carrying a bundle of herbs and a water skin. Her auburn hair was tied back in a practical braid, and her gray eyes widened when she saw Erling was awake. Emily. The dragon's voice resonated again, this time with warmth. Our guest has returned to us. Emily rushed forward, dropping to her knees beside Erling. Thank the stars, she breathed, pressing her hand against his forehead to check for fever. I thought we'd lost you. The hypothermia was severe. You can hear them too? Erling asked, gesturing weakly at the dragons. Emily smiled, and it transformed her entire face. Yes, they chose me 3 years ago, just as they've chosen you now. The smallest dragon, its scales a brilliant sapphire blue, chirped and nuzzled against Erling's arm. Despite everything, he found himself reaching out to touch the creature, his fingers running over scales that felt warm and smooth like river stones in summer. Chosen for what? Erling managed to ask, though part of him was afraid of the answer. The 3rd dragon, whose scales shifted between purple and silver depending on the light, finally spoke in his mind. Its voice was younger, more playful than the others. To be dragon brothers, of course. To keep the balance between our world and yours. Emily helped Erling sit up, propping him against the cave wall and offering him water. As he drank, she explained, these are the last of the young dragons. Their parents died protecting the mountain villages from a corrupted wyvern 5 years ago. They've been alone, waiting for humans who could bond with them, who could help them complete their growth and training. But why us? Erling asked, looking between Emily and the 3 magnificent creatures watching him with their ancient, knowing eyes. The emerald dragon, who introduced himself as Aldrich, stood and stretched his wings. Because you have what we need: courage without cruelty, strength tempered by compassion. We felt your heart when you were climbing the mountain, Erling. You stopped to save that injured fox even though the storm was coming. You risked your own life for a creature that could give you nothing in return. Erling remembered. The small Arctic fox with its leg caught in a hunter's trap. He'd spent precious minutes freeing it, minutes that had cost him when the avalanche hit. And Emily, continued Aldrich, turning his luminous gaze to the young woman. She left her village, her comfortable life, when she heard our call. She chose uncertainty and hardship to answer a need she didn't even fully understand. Emily blushed, absently stroking the sapphire dragon that had climbed into her lap. I just knew I had to come. It felt like coming home, The purple-silver dragon, Siren, bobbed his head enthusiastically. Dragon brothers are chosen by the heart, not by birth or training. You two will help us grow strong. And when we are grown, we will help keep the peace between humans and dragonkind. Over the following hours, as Erling regained his strength with Emily's care and the dragon's warmth, he learned about the ancient pact between humans and dragons. He learned about the responsibilities that came with being chosen and the adventures that awaited them. The sapphire dragon, introducing herself as Zephyr, explained that they needed to journey to the dragon sanctuary in the eastern mountains, where other bonded pairs trained and learned together. It would be dangerous. Corrupted creatures still roamed the lands, and not all humans welcomed the return of dragonkind. But as Erling looked at the 3 small dragons who had saved his life, who had waited patiently for someone worthy to find them, he felt something stir in his chest. Purpose, belonging, destiny. "I'll do it," he said firmly, meeting Emily's eyes across the cave. "I'll be a dragon brother." Emily's smile was radiant. "Then we'll do it together. The 5 of us," Aldrich rumbled with satisfaction, a sound like distant thunder mixed with a cat's purr. "The dragon brothers are united once more. Let the journey begin." As the morning sun climbed higher, casting golden light across the cave entrance, Erling stood on unsteady legs, supported by Emily on one side and Aldrich on the other. The little dragons had been waiting, and now, finally, they could begin the adventure they were always meant to share. The world outside was vast and uncertain, but Erling felt no fear. He had his new sister in arms, Emily. He had 3 dragons who had chosen him, who believed in him. And that, he realized, was everything.